Why does God allow suffering? As you all know that every day we see suffering, pain, heartbreak, injustice, and this is one of the most asked questions, whether in the atheist world and even in the Christian and believers world. If God is loving, why does He allow suffering? Mind you, and this is a curious and thought-provoking question, so I will answer it in this video. Just listen, because the answer might change your way of thinking it. Number 1. Free will, the gift and the burden. Imagine a world where you are forced to do good, where love isn't a choice, but a command. That wouldn't be love at all, would it? God gave us free will, the ability to choose between right and wrong. But with that freedom comes the potential for pain. It's like fire. It can warm you or burn you, depending on how you use it. Think of a parent allowing their child to ride a bike. They know the child might fall, but they also know that falling is part of learning. God allows choices even when they lead to suffering, because He values love that is freely given. Number 2, suffering builds strength and character. Think about the hardest moment in your life. At the time, it felt unbearable, didn't it? But now, looking back, can you see how it shaped you? A bodybuilder doesn't grow muscles without resistance. A diamond isn't formed without extreme pressure. Likewise, our struggles shape us, teach us, and make us stronger. In James 1:2-4, the Bible says, "Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." Just like a soldier is trained through difficult conditions, our hardships refine us for a greater purpose. Number 3, Earth is not our final home. We often expect life to be perfect, but what if we're looking at it the wrong way? Imagine a traveler going through a rough road and complaining the whole way, forgetting that paradise is just at the end of the journey. That's us. This world is temporary. It's not our final home. In Revelation 21:4, God promises that one day He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. Suffering reminds us not to get too comfortable here, but to long for something greater, a place where there is no pain. Number 4, God uses suffering for a greater purpose. Have you ever faced something terrible, only to realize later that it led to something good? Joseph, in the Bible, was sold into slavery by his brothers. He suffered for years, betrayed, imprisoned. But in the end, he became the second most powerful man in Egypt, saving countless lives from famine. He later told his brothers in Genesis 50:20, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Sometimes, what looks like a curse is actually a blessing in disguise. A setback can be a setup for something bigger than you ever imagined. Number 5, even Jesus suffered. If anyone deserved a pain-free life, it was Jesus, but He suffered more than any of us, mocked, beaten, crucified. Why? Because He chose to. Out of love. He understands your pain because He lived it. When you cry, He knows how it feels. When you feel abandoned, He's been there. And yet, His suffering wasn't the end. It led to resurrection, victory, and salvation for the world. If God didn't even spare His own Son from suffering, then maybe suffering has a purpose we can't yet see. Hope in the midst of suffering. Suffering isn't easy, and sometimes we won't understand why it happens. But one thing is sure, God is not absent. He is working, even in the pain. If you're struggling right now, remember this: you are not alone. Your pain has a purpose, And one day, everything will make sense. Hold on, keep the faith. So, tell us, what do you think? Have you ever been through something painful that later made sense? Go ahead and share your thoughts and testimonies in the comments. Let's all know about it. Do well to support us by liking and subscribing. See you in the next video.